Hi, I'm Jett Kuso. In previous Ultimate Top 10 lists, we've covered the weirdest Bakugan and the coolest Bakugan, but this time I asked for your help to decide the top 10 Bakugan gimmicks of all time. That's any weird feature or design on a Bakugan marble that's meant to get attention, get interest, and sell more toys. There is some hilarious stuff on this list, but you guys really are not prepared for the number one choice. Trust me, you're gonna want to stick around to the end on this one. This video is sponsored by Pasta Burger.
Bakugan New Destroyer. In battle, it's critical to outmaneuver the enemy. That's why new Special Attack Bakugan can do powerful things. Or the unpredictable Dice Thrower.
Number 10, Dice Thrower Bakugan. Gosh, you know what I just hate in a card game? Strategy. Nyeh. Brutal randomization is a great way to make that happen, so why not use the oldest trick in the book? Dice! Literally, the oldest trick in the book. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, dice are the oldest gaming implements known to man. The oldest cubical dice were found in ancient Egyptian tombs from 2000 BCE. Dice Thrower Bakugan have been around about 4,010 years less than that, but you know, they're still neat. Rather than your G-Power being static, the dice contained inside decides your fate. That sounds like a tagline to a new, Disney XD show. The launch mechanism has been designed a few different ways over the years, with my very favorite being my very own Chance Dragonoid, which very clearly vomits its die out simply by kinetic energy. The unfortunate downside is that while it's possible you'll land on a higher than average G-Power, it's just as likely you'll crit fail and get absolutely nothing. Number 9, Lights and Sounds. Pew 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 pew. That's an interesting gag.
That's good.
Yeah, thanks. This is Lumatroid, the only Lights and Sound Bakugan I own. One of the few they actually made. There's actually a few really neat things about it, aside from the gimmick itself being buck wild crazier than anything you'd expect them to pack into a little marble. For one, it looks a whole lot like Goblin Ball, more so than any other Bakugan released, so I'd consider it a spiritual reference. Also, the sound it makes could have been pretty much any random monster noise you could find on the internet, and it wouldn't have mattered. But they went the extra mile to give it the same sound effect as its monster form in the show. A pretty normal gimmick on any other toy line, but a fun surprise on a Bakugan.
Choose your Bakugan and roll into battle to unleash your power. Use your skill to hit the right Bakucore, transform, and emerge victorious.
Number 8, Ultra Bakugan. Okay, so I've got a whole frickin' video I made about these guys back when no one knew anything, and Ultra Bakugan might sound super normal to you guys because Ultra Bakugan have been around for as long as the reboot has been around, which might make them seem really normal, but to me, because I've been around for all of Bakugan, Ultra Bakugan are a really interesting, new, and weird gimmick when they came out, and I still count them, so in case you don't know what Ultra Bakugan are, they're really frickin' cool. Whoa! Bakugan always used to have their magnets down, but this vastly limited the types of creative designs they could come up with. But with the introduction of Baku cores in the reboot, it was now possible for Bakugan to flip up onto their feet and still hold on to their little metal thingies. This is such a weird gimmick, used to really amazing effect on Bakugan like Garganoid Ultra, Fangzor Ultra, Trox Ultra. These designs were unlike anything we'd seen in the history of Bakugan, and I'm glad Ultra Bakugan are still being released to this day. We never knew we needed them, and now that we've got them, things just wouldn't be the same without them.
Bakugan Maxenium Surge. The power of Bakugan is fused with metal. Feel the weight as they roll into battle with more force. Destroy anything that gets in your way. All
Number 7, G-Power Flywheel Bakugan. Do you want the random chaotic energy of a dice thrower without the cool factor of a monster throwing dice? You're in luck with G-Power Flywheel Bakugan. A spinning wheel revs up whenever your Bakugan opens, landing on another random number each time. The mechanics of these have been accomplished a few different ways, but I think this ratchet design is probably the most effective I've seen. It makes a very, very satisfying spinning noise. This meta Dragonoid features a range from 600 to 1100 Gs. Personally, I don't think the risk is worth it, but maybe that's gonna be fun for the compulsive gamblers out there. There's also attribute change flywheel Bakugan, but I don't want to talk about those because there's only so much content for top 10 lists about one brand, and these are the videos that get the most views on the channel, so I gotta keep making them. Number 4. Heavy Metal Bakugan. Bakugan. Little plastic marbles. Cute little things. Flimsy little guys you'd break if you stepped on them. But some Bakugan are different, and they've been around since the very beginning of Bakugan itself. These ain't your granddad's marbles. These Bakugan drink blood and eat Baku Nanos for breakfast. Lock your windows and doors, cause Heavy Metal Bakugan are here. And they pretty much just have this little ring of metal around the outside, which I think is pretty neat. And it makes me wanna say a swear word, cause it's so freaking cool. Okay, anyway, yeah, Heavy Metal Bakugan. These were a kind of special attack treatment that gave certain models of Bakugan a pretty hefty chunk of metal, allowing for more stability when rolling. Dual Hydronoid can be smoothly rolled straight because of the metal around the center line. And Delta Dragonoid is one of the best Bakugan for side spins because of its horizontal ring. I'd love to see Metal Bakugan return someday, with clean shapes like this rather than the silly bits and bobs from Mectanium Surge. And if they don't, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be that because and if they don't bring them back, I guess Bakugan is still a baby game for babies!
Can I have my jacket back?
Yeah. Hello, I'm interrupting the video to tell you about this video's sponsor, Pasta Burger, a real restaurant. Pasta Burger is an Italian fast food fusion restaurant which sells spaghetti and sausage patties on brioche buns and fun sides like Parmesan poppers? Is that what it is?
So.
Parmesan poppers? When you go to Pasta Burger, you get a free drink with, I think, unlimited refills with every single entree, and I would highly recommend you check out their Twitter account at PastaBurger_US, which is hosted by a wonderful mascot who is an anime pasta girl named Nudella, which is a very interesting—
I'm Nudella, your pasta waifu.
Seriously, follow him on Twitter. It's the strangest thing and I think it's going somewhere, so thank you so much to Pasta Burger for sponsoring this video. I love your food. Probably. Alright, back to the video.
Shock your opponent with Spin Dragonoid.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
A wise man once said, "Let's try spinning. That's a good trick." And he was right. It is a very good trick. The history of spinning Bakugan is storied and messy, and someday I may even do a deep dive into the topic. Sometimes the gimmick has worked well, and sometimes it's been pretty underwhelming. It serves zero gameplay purpose. Half the time they just kind of break after a while. And while I don't usually take joy in something so useless, I have to admit this does put a smile on my face. The Japanese spinners like Cross Dragonoid and Midnight Percival are easily some of the best. They ratchet cleanly, open smoothly, and look good doing it. But I'm also quite partial to Bull Cannon, who used to spin like a frickin' helicopter, but mine is kinda old, so not quite so much anymore. There's a simple appeal to it. Surprising, weird, non-intrusive, and I love how they make big stupid tornadoes in the show, endlessly spinning rather than just blah.
New Bakugan Skyraiders. Jump. Explode. Soar. For the first time ever, Bakugan takes the battle to the sky.
Number 4. Baku Skyraiders. Skyraiders are a lot like normal Bakugan, except they fly now.
You can fly? No. Jump good.
These Bakugan are Spin Master's first big experiment with powerful springs. Overly high-tension springs are loaded into the feet joint, strong enough to make the Bakugan fly up into the air when it activates. If Ultra Bakugan are Rock Lee, Skyraiders are Rock Lee with his ankle weights off.
Wait.
The game mechanic was weird, and not very good, but at least it was unique. Before rolling, you were supposed to place this little blue reference card on the battlefield. If the Skyraider lands on the card after it flips up into the air, you get to use the special effect from said card. This is actually intolerably hard to do, at least it was for baby Jett Kuso. I haven't filmed a B-reel for this segment yet, so maybe I'll have an easier time of it now. What the heck? Was this a better game mechanic than I thought it was? Why is this working so well? Okay. But I appreciate the desire to add another skill-based mechanic, unlike most Bakugan gimmicks. I get the feeling the old designers were experimenting with feet springs, because old Bakugan almost always had the manual feet that had to be flipped out by hand. How do we fix that when the magnets of old Bakugan are always on the underside? If we ignore that and spring-load the feet anyway, when they open they'll just... Oh. The other big problem was, in order to house the powerful springs on many Skyraiders, you'll find a big dumb bump where the feet connect. Very bad for rolling, making the skill mechanic even more random. I admire what they were going for, and it's cool looking in action, but Skyraiders kinda missed the mark just about as badly as they missed their blue reference cards. I think I was just bad as a child. This is crazy.
The Bakugan battle is on! With all new Fusion Bakugan you can collect, and hunt for the new super powerful rares.
Number 3, Faction Fusion Bakugan. Alright, so this is another one I made a whole video about. If you want an in-depth dive into Fusion Bakugan, click the card in the corner. I want to take this time to dive a little deeper and reflect on these guys a bit now that they've been out for a while and we're moving into year 3. Fusion Bakugan are single marbles that work just like any normal Bakugan, but the overall gimmick is so much more fun than just about anything we've ever seen from Bakugan. Not only do they represent a delightfully wide number of mishmash combinations, harkening back to everything from Dragon Ball to Transformers Energon, but they've resulted in some of the craziest, most gorgeous color palettes imaginable. I mean, gosh, this Pyrus Darkus Fangtonoid is one of the most beautiful Bakugan ever made. Just look at it. I'm not biased about the color palette or anything. I also want to take a second to bite back on one of the big points I made in my Fusion video, that most Fusion Bakugan aren't good or competitive or whatever. I was straight up wrong about that. In all the testing and gameplay I've been able to do during this pandemic, Fusion Bakugan have not only been incredibly fun to use in the TCG, but the reliability of late game powering up really makes up for early game losses from low B power. The mechanic has really wide application, and if we'd been able to play this year, I think it would have made year 2 incredible. This is one gimmick that needs to come back someday, as a near perfect harmony of aesthetic design, entertaining concept, and gameplay fun.
Back-Tech Converter システムでさらにパワーアップ！強力な2体のバックガンを手に入れろ！
Number 2, Cross and Soul. Now we're getting into that good stuff. Rather than explain this one myself, I'm gonna throw it to myself at age 14, who probably said it better than I can.
If you don't know what Bakutech is, it's basically a line of Bakugan available exclusively in Japan. Most of them include interchangeable parts made of metal or plastic, called Cross and Soul. Cross being pieces that fit onto the arms or torso, while Soul are the interchangeable feet. Other than that, there aren't really any gimmicks. They're just extremely high quality Bakugan.
Yeah, that's great, baby Jett. Desaturate the footage so your green screen works less. Yeah, that's a good look. Anyway, Cross and Soul pieces can be made of metal or plastic, or even this rubberized material. The benefit of this is an insane level of customization, not only of the Bakugan's appearance, but of the Bakugan's rolling performance by changing its weight distribution. Swapping in die-cast metal feet can turn any Bakugan into a curving Bakugan. Metal crosspieces on the sides allow a Bakugan to side spin just like a heavy metal, keeping the magnet underneath. But crosspieces on the center line are great for straight shots or KOs. You could even deck out a Bakugan in full metal, or God forbid, oh no, you can't, this can't be possible. A Bakugan that heavy could tear through the very fabric of...
You gotta get through the rest of the script.
Bakutech! Okay, completely maxed it out the entire time. Nice!
Number 1.
You swore you'd never talk about them. You swore that era was over. You swore you'd forget. But then again, you swore a lot of things when you were young, didn't you? How could you have known what would happen? That the value would skyrocket 8 years later? Not just the stupid spin-off, but the whole franchise. No, you won't find any more in there. You don't have them. You only ever bought 2 of the stupid things, and back then you thought that was too many. You only thought about how round they were or weren't, but that's not enough now. You've seen the posts on Twitter. You've seen the comments on your videos. People still talk about them.
Shut up.
People love them. People want them.
Shut up.
You almost broke last time with how many requests they got. Why don't you break now?
Shut up!
Yeah, it's just a skin. A recolor. A marketing technique that doesn't make sense as anything but a way to grab eyes. The last-ditch effort of a steadily declining brand with no direction anymore. But what does that matter? Isn't that all a gimmick is? Isn't that all a gimmick ever was? You've been running far too long, Jett Kuso. Wake up.
The number 1 choice is the Marvel x Bakugan crossover line. Full video coming soon. Did I forget any gimmicks you remember? Leave a comment with your favorite Bakugan gimmick or any gimmicks I might have left out. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you get a notification every time I post a new video. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JettKuso, and thank you to VarronOoC, The One Only Prime, SheVitus, Sierra107, Skinny Chalk, and Charles the Green Dragon for supporting me as Titan patrons. You too can help support my content at patreon.com/JettKuso. This is JettKuso, and I'll see you next time. Huh!